Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show about the New York Giants, the New York Mets, movies, television, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm a plump and furry Irish Italian-American who graduated from a Catholic high school, but isn't Catholic, and also at college, known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and then I became neither. Instead, I'm a blogger, vlogger, podcaster, writer, editor, video optimizer, content strategist, and failed stand-up comedian. Failed everything, really. Failed human overall. I have a voicemail. You should probably pick up your phone that does not exist and call 862-BIT-1986. That's 862-BIT-1986. Why BIT? Why 1986? Well, a lot of what I do is a bit. It's a bit that doesn't hit. And 1986 is when the Giants and the Mets both won the World Championship. I mean, it's easy. It's simple math. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You could just search for Giant Mess or Real Cinch. That's RealCinch. You can follow me on my blog, neallynch.com. That's NealLynch. I should probably change my name. I think the name change has to happen at some point. Neal is just not working for me. You can find me on Facebook.com/GiantMess, Twitter, Instagram, the whole nine. On this episode of Giant Mess, we got a new segment that I'm gonna test out. I'm gonna peel it back and put it in 5, the 5th gear, the best gear, the highest gear. And take a test ride on this new segment. Quick hits, what's trending? I basically just went on Google Trends and I sorted it to rising search queries. And now I'm just gonna say it and I'm gonna give you my thought. Because everyone needs to know what a 39-year-old straight white man is thinking about what's trending. That's what's hot in the streets. I've done my research. And then I'll give you a little bit of what's going on in my life, a vlog, if you will, about an unsuccessful trip to the beach or trip to a park. Dad life, mostly. And then movies. I can't even list the amount of movies that I'm going to try and rapid review for you, even though you don't need it. You've probably already seen it and made a judgment. And if you haven't seen it yet, am I going to sway you? Probably not. So let's get into it. What's trending? Right off the bat, Rayshard Brooks. If you don't know, now you know. I mean, if you don't know, you don't now know. I just said his name. I mean, if it doesn't ring a bell, good for you. Black Lives Matter. And we've seen another black man, unarmed, get tased and then shot dead. Officer has been charged. And just when you think you see all this kind of positive movements happening, if you stuck around to the end of the last episode, I kind of gave a very long-winded diatribe about Black Lives Matter. If you didn't tune in for that part, I'll repeat it again. When I first heard Black Lives Matter, I was one of the first people to say all lives matter. And that's obviously not happening. And then, I've seen plenty of notes saying if all lives mattered, we wouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter. So yeah, Black Lives Matter. And, hell, I don't know what Rayshard Brooks' history is, what drove the cops to think that he was a threat and to chase him down. I mean, the dude was drunk in his car at a Wendy's. I mean, if we haven't all been there, I mean, you deserve a medal. So, yeah, I mean, I gotta, I guess it's not on my record anymore, but I had some stuff on my record, I think, at one point in 2004. So don't dig too deep, but it was pretty much in the realm of what Rayshard Brooks was ultimately, accosted for. So when is it going to stop? I don't know. I've been seeing a bunch of facts, figures, and I'm not going to dwell on this too long, so don't worry if you're already turned off by what's going on. I will just say this. I've seen a lot of, and there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation about on the internet. So who knows if this is correct? I don't even know if anything is correct or true anymore on the internet. But I've seen some facts and figures, not only about police reform, but also the coronavirus. There's like 2 charts that are floating around that I've seen, 2 graphs. And if you want to grab my attention, throw a chart or graph in my grill. For Black Lives Matter or police reform, it's like and I'm going to butcher this because I didn't write it down, but like Norway, France, there's like 3 other countries and maybe in Europe where it's like you got to train for like 3 years to become a police officer. And it's rigorous training, it's lengthy training, and it put like the number of years that you have to train to be a police officer in these countries. And then below it, they would just say like, and here are the number of police shootings or deaths by police. And it's very, very low. Like over the course of 20 years, maybe less than 200 total for that country. And then you look at the United States and it's like, I think it's a high school diploma in 21 weeks of training is what the number I saw. Who knows if that's right? And then, of course, the staggering number of police shootings of possibly innocent people is in the 5 digits, I think, in just this year alone, or maybe 4 digits in this year alone, or last year alone. So it's like, oh boy, something's got to be done. Same thing with the coronavirus. I mean, you look at there's another graph where it's like Spain has got the bell curve, went up, spiked, came down. Italy, spiked, came down. Germany, spiked, came down. America, it's like spiked and then it's kind of slowly plateauing a little bit. America, fuck yeah. Yeah, I get it. We're the best, but like sometimes our pride gets the best of us. And I think there are a lot of people in the country who are just like, nah, fuck that. It's a cold. It's like a hyped flu. And it's like, well, I saw another stat that was like 115,000, 16,000 people have died from coronavirus in like a few months. And half of that number, 60,000 died in Vietnam, the war. Of course, both my wife and her friend were like, yeah, but there are a lot more people now than there were. And I was like, all right, I get it. Still, we're at war on a lot of fronts right now against viruses and racism. I saw Antebellum was trending, and I think this is because Lady Antebellum has tried to change her name to Lady A, which, unfortunately, is a name taken by another musician. They didn't really Google that before they made the announcement. And so now I guess they're in talks with this Lady A person who would be like, hey, can we take it? And I don't know. Maybe they'll do a collabo, Lady A squared. But I never gave 2 thoughts to their name, Lady Antebellum. Antebellum just sounds nice. But you look into what it is and it's like, oh, it's, yeah, okay. I could see why they would probably want it. Like Lady Antebellum. It's like lady, that's nice. Antebellum sounds nice. But it's actually like the era, pre-Civil War, Civil War era in the South, like that kind of like time frame when tried to secede, slavery, a lot of like pretty negative things attached to that era. So, I mean, I get congrats to them for trying to change it. They probably got a sneak peek of that. Sneak peek, bro. You ever have a sneak peek? Sneak peek of that new movie Antebellum, which looks pretty cool, which is from I believe Jordan Peele and the guys behind Get Out and Us, which I don't know when that's gonna release. We're watching Superstore right now, and look down your nose at me. Do not care. Scoff. Put me in a bin of things you no longer respect. I don't care. Superstore is funny. It's just funny. I like it. Anyway, we're binging Superstore every night. We caught up on season 4, I guess. We're in season 5, maybe. So every night watching 2, 3, 4 episodes, and there's all these promos for movies. like Mulan, live action Mulan, like in theaters March 27th. And I was just like, nope. It's like I've never felt so alive than saying nope to a recording of a TV show that had promos of movies that were supposed to be in theaters before coronavirus hit. I felt so powerful, like I'm Nostradamus, just like, nope, not happening, not going to happen. So I have no idea when Antebellum is going to hit theaters or hit on demand. I hope they hold off until we can get back in the theaters. And I know theaters are reopening, but not too keen on it. I don't know. Theaters were already pretty a dicey area for a lot of people. I have friends that just like, it's got to be a major big time movie to go to the theater. So I don't know. Maybe I got to like throw on a poncho, throw some duct tape around some open slits. I don't know. 365 DNI. This is a straight to Netflix movie. KFC from Barstool wrote an article about it. It's apparently super erotic, excessively horny, and steamy. He said it makes 50 Shades of Grey look like Child's Play, not the horror movie. So you can only imagine. I saw in his article a couple of like GIFs, and it was like, this is pretty intense. And apparently girls are creaming jeans over it because the main guy, lead guy, attractive dude named Massimo. You can't be named Massimo and be a dork or a loser. Not possible. You're going to be rich. You're going to have a red room. You're going to have fetishes. You're going to dominate women, fancy sports cars, the whole nine. So if I have a boy, do I want that life for him? I don't know. But there's one, I mean, he had one GIF where it's like he's naked in the shower. He reaches out and grabs the woman who's walking away by the neck and turns her around and makes out with her. And it's like women lost their self-control and got all swishy sloshy. So I don't know. I might throw that on. I've added a whole bunch of like very erotic movies to my Netflix queue that I just haven't had the balls to watch. And for those who know me, it's like, that's all you talk about. That's all you think about. For a while, that's all you joked about. Sex. And it's like, well, it's a defense mechanism because I suck at it. That's pretty much what happens. Performance anxiety, you name it. So I don't know. I might have to give that a gander when maybe the wife's away for the weekend. I don't know. Can't watch it with the wife. I just can't. I mean, it's something that I just cannot do. It's just, I don't know. Netflix and chill. I don't know. I can do it if it's like a movie that's not sexual, I guess. I don't know. Hey, broaden your horizons, Neal. Okay, I will. Ray Ciccarelli, the NASCAR driver, quit over the Confederate flag being banned by NASCAR. Okay, goodbye. It's like, that's a pretty big step. I mean, that's a pretty big step, for everything that's going on. Is it making an impact? Is it changing how we do things, how lives are being lived to a certain extent? Yeah. I know it's definitely happening across a lot of different industries. My industry in particular, media and entertainment. Like for instance, Juneteenth, the next trending search on Google. A lot of companies are like, we're going to make it an official holiday to reflect on the official end of slavery. And then other companies are just like, hey, it's unofficial, but feel free if you don't have work, take time off, which I think is great. But to think that like a NASCAR was the last kind of organization that I thought would cave to that. But I mean, hey, Confederate statues are coming down left and right, being dumped in water. Which I bet the fish are just like, whoa, what the fuck? We don't want this guy. Like, okay, so he's not great for the land, but he's just going to dump him in the sea? You're going to dump him in the river? What the fuck? We don't want racists down here. Yeah, so good to have Juneteenth. But well, the message I was trying to get across was I saw like, it was either a tweet or whatever, where it's like all these different things are happening, but we still don't have police reform. I think that was the major point is like, hey, it's great, Juneteenth off, and like all this other stuff is happening, and Netflix is pushing, black movies about the black experience by black directors, and profiles of black creators, and it's like it's happening. It seems like we're and we're in Pride Month, so of course there's the push and promotion of LGBTQ2Q RBXI 592. Too many letters, guys. Can we just condense it to just one all-encompassing thing? But I guess it defeats the purpose. But still no like real police reform. Although Louisville, banning the no-knock warrant, which makes sense, dude. Where you just like bust into someone's house without a warrant. And it's like, how do you determine what is dangerous enough to warrant that? You know what, folks? I surprise myself sometimes. The next search, T-Mobile outage. So this is something not related to Black Lives Matter. T-Mobile outage. Although if they think conspiracy, what is it? 5G is causing coronavirus. Is T-Mobile causing police brutality? Nope. T-Mobile outage. I just thought I'd bring this up because it's like, it's been so long since I've had T-Mobile. Got to be like 15 plus years, maybe more. Who still uses T-Mobile? Great question. I don't know. They still have commercials, so I assume they're still in operation. Boost Mobile is still in operation, which blows my mind. But remember the Fave 5? If you had T-Mobile, there was like the Fave 5, and it was like on your little flip phone, your Razor, possibly your Motorola Razor, and you have to put like these 5 people into your Fave 5. And that was, anyone who knows me knows that I am indecisive as hell. If we go to a diner and that diner has more than 2 pages, settle in. It's going to be a while. So 5 people out of all my contacts, even though I'd say 95% of those contacts I'm not close with. Whew, that's a tough one. I guess the PS5 there was an announcement about that debuting, or the price of that. And I think I'm going to get back into video games, folks. I think that's going to happen. I've been like watching Big Cat from Barstool. I haven't been watching him like live on Twitch, but like the fact that he can play video games, live stream himself playing video games, and it's like, and have fun playing video games, but have people watch him. Something about that. And it's so stupid because I've known about this. What is it? Let's play movement for fucking years now. I'd say 7 years I've known about this, possibly longer. But just now that Big Cat's on it, and now that, it's like, it's blown up for him and he's made it into this huge thing. Like, now I want in on it. Not to like get big in any way, like popularity wise, but just like, I don't know, just to watch it back and to see my reactions. It's a very narcissistic, self-centered thing. Don't have to tell me twice. Artemis Fowl's on Disney Plus. Okay. This looks like Harry Potter meets Spy Kids. My daughter's way too young to be in on that, so I don't know. Give it a few years. Hartley Sawyer, I guess this is the guy from some TV show that got fired for being racist. That's happening a lot. A lot of people calling each other out for quote unquote microaggressions. And it's funny how like social justice was such a ridiculed and mocked thing for, I want to say, a while, 5, 6, 7 years. And now it's just like, the norm. That, I'm getting newsletters from my parent company saying we've created a safe space for blah. And I'm just like, I can't believe that I used to, this used to be like the butt of the joke, and now it's just like that's life now. Microaggressions is another one, which I'm definitely guilty of microaggressions for sure. Just constant microaggressions, just little teensy tiny aggressions, and sometimes some mega aggressions. But yeah, microaggressions, definitely. J.K. Rowling still hates trans people, I think, which is, interesting. She probably just doesn't give a fuck right now, like what does she have to care about? She's probably so goddamn rich. 13 Reasons Why cast was still trending for some reason. And I can't believe that friggin' show is in season, it was 4 or something like that. I just, it makes me think that they might do 13 seasons. And like, here's 13 reasons why Netflix is the shit. Because they'll let a show that was about suicide somehow prevail and have legs for 13 seasons. I watched the first season and I was just like, I can't. I don't know where this story is going. I don't want to know where this story is going. I'm out. Kelly Clarkson got a divorce, which I had a little bit of just a teeny little crush on her back in the day, like post American Idol into the early 2000s. I did not see Kelly and Justin go to Hollywood or wherever it was. Kelly and Justin, Something America. Did not see that movie. But there was a part of me that was like, yeah, okay. But it would have never worked out, to be honest. TBH, it just would never have worked out. But she got a divorce, which, yeah, probably just too damn strong for that relationship, Paw Patrol. So it's funny how timing works on just about everything. I was going to give you an example from work, but I don't want to because I'm not 100% sure about that example. So I'll give you this example. We're having a tough time with shoes, and my baby girl, my daughter, she's growing at the astronomical rate. And so shoes are like, my wife decided to go out and buy some bigger shoes so that she can grow into them and we don't have to buy shoes every other week. And so she went out and she bought Paw Patrol shoes. Now, my daughter does not watch Paw Patrol. She watches Puppy Dog Pals. But a dog's a dog. A cartoon puppy is a cartoon puppy. A cartoon dog's a cartoon dog. She saw a dog. She said dog. We got her the shoes. And of course, now people are saying with the Black Lives Matter movement that Paw Patrol should be canceled. Because it's dogs and as cops, I guess. And I know Cops was canceled, which we used to pregame to Cops when I was 26, 27. That's what was on Friday nights, before you go out, Saturday nights before you go out, play some beer pong, one-on-one beer pong, throw some Cops on the TV. And it's just like, I didn't think twice about it. Man, you want to talk about white privilege. Oof. Ugh. Anyway, Cops gets canceled, and then A&E caves and cancels Live PD. There were some rumors about, and I don't know if this was public knowledge or news, that like A&E might have deleted some footage of police brutality. I don't know. So, and then that trickled down to Paw Patrol, a cartoon show about dogs as cops. And so now when we go outside, we're walking around, people are like, oh, what a beautiful, cute little angel. She's awesome. And then they look down at her Paw Patrol shoes and they're just like, no. Like my not even 2-year-old daughter is making some kind of Blue Lives Matter stance and taking a side in a movement that she has no effing clue what's going on. So it's like, we don't condone, we have to like, if anyone notices, oh, Paw Patrol shoes, huh? I gotta like play defense a little bit and be like, no, we bought it before the whole George Floyd thing, it's so insane. Bon Appetit was trending. I used to work for Condé Nast Entertainment, and Bon Appetit is owned by Condé Nast. Apparently, like the head dude, I don't know if he was the editor in chief or whatever with Bon Appetit, but he either got canned or was forced to step down because some black employees came out and said that they weren't getting paid the same as white employees, which, come on, guys. I mean, come on. Just pay I don't understand how this is such an issue. If this person has this much experience, man or woman, same thing. Black or white, same thing. Why is it like, how does that, like, who is in accounting like, oh, no, that person's black. We can't afford that. Like, we need more black people because our budget's tight. Like, what? We need more black women so that we can pay them less because our budget's tight. I don't know. It's just like how that is still going on is, I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. And this wasn't trending, but I felt like I had to say something because it's just, of course, this had to happen. Chris D'Elia being accused by numerous women of grooming them, which that's a new term that I just learned. I'm learning a new term on the internet every goddamn day, and I think I'm done learning. I don't want to learn anymore because it hurts my brain. I don't want to learn anymore. Chris D'Elia, accused of grooming underage girls, underage women, I guess reaching out to them when they are 16, 17. And I guess, talking to them. And then, I guess once they're 18, he like makes his move. I don't know. Which is, I mean, good God. I mean, he played a pedophile on Workaholics. He played a pedophile on You. And it's like, KFC made a joke from Barstool, like, would hate to be Chris D'Elia's lawyer in court because it's like all they have to do is look at his IMDb page. It stinks. I remember like someone asked me a few years ago before Me Too, who are your favorite comedians? And I was like, oh, I really like Louis C.K., Chris D'Elia. And it's like, fucking A, Neal. Really know how to pick them. But I don't know. I'm sure he can. It just doesn't look good. I mean, I'm not of the stance that believe all women. It's tough because there are definitely some women who make up some shit to ruin a man's life. There just are. But I guess the believe all women is like the woman's version of Black Lives Matter. Like just start off believing all women and then we'll look into it and figure it out. So can't knock it too hard. So it'd be interesting to hear his response. I haven't really listened to a lot of podcasts since we've been working from home because that's like the commute is when you listen to podcasts. That's pretty much when it goes down, when it happens. So interesting to hear his response. I know he gave some kind of official statement to TMZ saying like, I understand that, I never, he was very emphatic in like saying, I never like force myself on anyone that's underage. And, I think I could almost hear his voice, reading the words, but it's still not a good look, dude. When you're 30 some odd years old and you're contacting 15, 16, 17 year olds. So, bam. But then someone else, I think KFC again was like, I don't trust people that don't have a vice that is drinking or drugs. And when he says drugs, he means like, weed or, weed probably. Or like Xanax or something. And I initially kind of agreed with him. It's like, D'Elia was very adamant in saying like he doesn't drink. Never drank. Like it was almost like very too strong and forced. You're like, well, okay. Okay, cool. But like, if you're not drinking, what are you doing? I guess that was the point that KFC was trying to make, but I don't know. I'm drinking right now. So that's what's trending. New segment. Probably didn't go over too well because it was a lot of controversial shit. But that's what people search for. That's what people want. And people want to know like why I can't watch the news. It's all bad. It's like, well, look at what you're searching for. Whew. Sex, drugs, and violence. That's how it goes. So let's talk about life for real quick. Been trying to get to the beach. We actually did get to the beach one weekend. Might have been Memorial Day weekend or the first weekend in June. And not much of a story here. It was basically a bee landed on my leg. And I'm 39 years old, grown-ass man. I'm not allergic to bees. And I had a very scared, frightened reaction to it. Now, I didn't scream, but I did react very quickly, and I basically swatted it off my leg. Because it was not like, if it's buzzing around me, I tend to be a tough guy. I just stand there and I'm like, I'm not afraid. I know bees smell fear. That kind of stance. But this time I was just not having it because it landed and it looked like a dog getting ready to lay down. It was just like, it was nesting, it was like, this is where I'm going to plant my stinger. And I was not having it. I was just quickly swatted it and flung it. And of course it landed stinger first into my wife's leg. And if you want to know how tough or strong my wife is, this is a classic example. She's just like, ow. And I was like, oh, did it sting you? And she's like, yeah. Oh. And she immediately knew to pull the stinger out. And, I would have been like, Peter Griffin in Family Guy when he falls and scrapes his knee, just like, But she just like pulled the stinger out and she's like, hey, can you try and squeeze it out if it's still in there? And then I'm starting to worry. I'm like, I'm starting to think about My Girl or My Girl 2. Was it the original or the sequel? Where she's allergic to bee stings. He's allergic to bees. One of them gets stung and dies. Spoiler alert. But I was like, she's like, I'm not allergic. And I was like, okay. And I started to think like, I don't know, something's got to happen. So I'm like, and she thinks I'm like not giving a shit because I'm on my phone, but really I'm Googling like, what should I do for a bee sting? And it's like Tylenol, like ice, like honey, and it started to get a little sexual towards the end. I was just like, this is going to end in another baby. So that was the first trip to the beach. Couldn't even go in the water. I mean, so cold. Just icy, ice. Just like the White Walkers. Just like it's just so cold. Tried to go to the beach again on another weekend. There's a parking situation where we see an open spot. There's a paid parking lot like right there. And then there's apparently looking like free parking spots next to a building. No sign on this side of the road, sign on the other row. So on this row to the right, no sign. On this row to the left, sign. And it's like permit parking. We don't have a permit. So I'm like, my mind's going in overdrive. Like, I don't even know. Should I roll the dice? Thinking, like, how much could a parking ticket be? Well, you'd be surprised down at the shore. I mean, you get caught pissing in New York City, it's like $25 fine. You get caught pissing down in Manasquan, New Jersey, $300. So the Jersey Shore, and, I was down at Manasquan every year for 10 years. So obviously there's something about it that I can't get enough of. But hell, I tell people about this story around the neighborhood and, people that are not from New Jersey, and they just can't, it doesn't process. Error 404, page not found. So we go to the beach, Asbury Park, find parking. I guess the whole time I'm worrying, like, are we going to get a ticket? Are we going to get towed? Are we going to be booted? My wife doesn't give a shit. My wife has set the record for parking tickets without getting, still managing to have a car at some point. I can't believe it. We're hungry. We go to Pliables. There's like this weird, they have markers to show you where you need to stand to appropriately social distance that no one's following. No one's in this line. Of course, I go in the line because I'm a little bitch boy who likes to follow the rules. No one else is following the rules, and I'm just staring at them, giving them the death stare when it's like they don't know any better. But so, and it says mask required. So on the boardwalk, it says, please wear a mask, which is not exactly mask required. You go to this Pliables and they're like mask required inside. I'm like, all right. Now it doesn't say what the punishment is. It just says mask required. So throw on the mask. We go place our order, and the cashier asks for my wife's name. Now my wife's name is Cassandra. And if you say Cassandra, ain't nobody fucking that up. But she says Cassie. And my grandfather even fell for this. Whenever she says Cassie, people don't hear Cassie. They just hear Kathy. So she gets Kathy a lot of the time. So I threw my mask, and we're all wearing masks. So I say to the cashier, register, they're all high school kids or college kids. And I was just like, hey, I just want to make sure you have the name right. It's Cassie, not Kathy. Sometimes, we want to make sure that you have the right name when you call it out. And she's like, she looks at me like, yeah, I got it, you fucking old fart. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to slink away now. So we're standing outside waiting for the order. Time goes by. And of course the guy comes and he starts yelling, Casey, pick up your order. Where are you at, Casey? And of course I look, and I'm with my sister-in-law. And my sister-in-law is like, what are the odds that's Cassie? And I was just like, I don't know. It could be a Casey here. And eventually I just go up to him and I just said, hey, Cassie? Sure it's not Cassie? And he's like, oh, it looks like Casey. And I look at the name that this person wrote down, and it was Cassey. And it's hard to argue with him yelling Casey, because you take out an S, that's Casey. Who spells Cassie, Cassey? Who? The only motherfucker running a cash register in this state of New Jersey, apparently. So we have to inhale our Pliables, because the daughter is rambunk. She's rambunctious. And it's just all over the place. You can't just take her to the beach and expect her to be like, oh, wow, look at this, the waves. No, she's touching everything. She's licking everything, invading personal space, just trying to get on the beach without a bracelet, hanging from the railing, just all over the place. So we go to the first ticket taker place, and we're like, we'll have 3 daily passes, please. And they're like, we are all sold out. And we're like, it's fucking noon. How are you sold out at noon? The sun's been up for like 3 hours. We got another fucking 8 hours of this shit. And, the ticket taker, whatever, was just like, oh, what you're going to do is this is probably all sold out. All of Asbury Park is sold out. You need to go down past the archway to Ocean Grove, the next town down. They'll probably have some passes for you. So sure. So we walk, and I'm carrying the cooler, which is stacked, packed with all kinds of goodies, snacks, alcohol, bevs, all the good stuff. But it weighs, well, considerable amount considering I don't work out. Walk down, had to be a mile plus, maybe 2 miles. Long ass walk, and the baby's just trying to touch and lick everything. Get to the Ocean Grove. It's of course a young girl who's probably in high school, maybe college. And we're like, hey, we'd like some daily passes. Oh, we're all sold out. But then I see like this little stand with a sign. Well, there's a lot of small words because I don't have contacts or glasses because I'm too lazy to order it. And there's like and there's like 2 QR codes. And I'm like, this couldn't possibly be ticket related. It's probably some kind of weird promotion they're doing. And so, but I keep seeing people come up with their phone, show her the phone, and then she points to this sign. And then these people, of course, the tech savvy young people, like know, okay, how to scan a QR code. And they get on, and then you see the older people, even the older people, the old folks, the blue heads, the seniors, come show her their phone, and she's like, oh, you just got to scan it. And you see them like try to put the face of their phone up against the QR code like it's a scanner at the grocery store. No dice. And so she would have to show them. And I'm saying to myself, God, there's a lot of like people with phones getting on this fucking beach. If it's sold out, like, did they just buy it way in advance? And then I see someone come up and say, do you have any more passes? She says, no, it's sold out. And then they look at the sign, they go and do some things on their phone, and then they scan the QR code, and then they're on. And I'm like, wait a minute. And this is already after, I've already carried this cooler like a country mile. All right. The lats, the delts, they're tweaking. So the wife and the sister-in-law, they go back to get the car, and I'm stuck there with the cooler, 2 chairs, and this child who sees things that aren't hers and decides that's mine now. Like balls, scooters, whatever looks appealing, that's now hers. And so she'll go and steal it, and then I have to apologize and whatever. As I'm trying to watch our chairs and our cooler, because I don't know how things work in these gritty times. And so eventually I'm like, all right, I'm going to actually, so I asked the girl, like, is there any way to tell like online how many passes are left? Because you're saying it's sold out, but I keep seeing people come in. She's like, oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. So her shift's up. This other dude comes wearing Crocs. And so, and he seems more assured of himself, more like, self-assured. And he's just like, and he's just, he knows what's going on. And I just hear her say, well, I'm not street smart, I'm book smart, and walks away. And I was like, oh boy, I feel like she fucked up somehow, because someone radioed her and was like, stop sending people down here to buy tickets. We don't have any tickets. Stop telling them to do that. And then was like mumbled. And I was like, I'm going to look at this sign super close. I don't care who like makes fun of me. And of course it's like, download this app and scan the QR code. So I download the app. I look on the app, 6 passes left. But the wife and the sister-in-law, they're already gone to get the car. Do I get them now? And then I got to call them back. And then And so by the time they get back to pick us up, which you want to know how, like, I'm not tech savvy. which is insane because I've been on the internet and on computers since I was fucking 13. It's been 2 decades of this shit, almost 3. And I still don't think tech first. Like all I had to do, because my wife was like, are you before the brown building or after the brown building? I'm like, well, if you looking at the ocean and you look to the right, I'm the right of the brown building. Okay, but are you before the brown building? And it's just like, all I had to do was look on Google Maps, see where I was, text it to her, possibly take a screenshot of the intersection. Instead, I'm trying to take a picture of the street sign across the street that I can't read because my eyes stink. And I texted her that, which you can't really make out because it's zoomed in so much. It's so blurry. Unbelievable. So he ended up just coming home. We drove 1.5 hours to the beach with all the traffic and whatnot. 1.5 hours back. We were there maybe 1.5 hours, 2 hours, just trying to get onto the actual sand portion of the beach. And it just wasn't happening. We couldn't even go, like the one beach that we might have got on if we knew about the friggin' app was surfing only. I've seen signs for other beaches that's like no sunbathing. You have to be doing an activity the whole time. I don't know. And then my wife is like, the daycare was like, whoa, the daycare is going to open June 15th. And I was like, oh, just like that? Just like that? Everyone just all go back to normal? Oh, we just had to drop her off at the front instead of going inside the building? That's the big difference? No. So I think we're going to see a second spike of coronavirus. Definitely. Which, baseball's canceled, whatever. I'm more of a football fan than a baseball fan anyway. Sorry. But if they cancel football, I swear to God, it's going to be hell to pay. So we didn't go to the beach, but the next day we did get to go to the park. Of course, my sister-in-law that night decides I'm going to get ahead of this thing and I'm going to buy the passes for the next day because we're going to do a redo for the beach. We're going to go back to the beach on Sunday, which, I'm not a big fan of. It's like, all right, we gave it a shot. I'm a quitter. And so my sister-in-law was like, it says on the app that after a certain time, the passes are for the next day, but then it says you have to use the passes on the same day that you purchase the passes. So blah, blah. I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe just wait until 12:01 a.m. So she buys the 3 passes, and then the next day, it's like 60 degrees at the beach. It's like, I don't know that we want to go sit on sand in our hoodies, which I did in Chicago when we went to visit my buddy in Memorial Day in Chicago. It was just like, I did not pack for 50 degrees and strong winds from the north. So on Sunday, we didn't go to the beach. So we ate those passes, daily passes, and went to the park, a nearby park where, the baby girl, my daughter, was just, I guess, in heaven. Like we're trying to have a picnic eating our bagel, egg, and cheese, which that bagel, egg, and cheese, this is sausage, egg, and cheese on a bagel. Everything bagel is probably top 5 all time. And I don't throw out top 5s a lot. Very negative, critical, judgmental. This is a top 5. And I think it's the 4J's Bagelry or Cafe near Fairfield. Look it up because bagel's fresh to death. And I shouldn't throw around the D word with everything that's going around, but I have to. FTD. Sausage was on point. Cheese was melted just right. Yeah. Top 5 bagel. Top 3. Fuck it. I have not had a good sausage, egg, and cheese bagel, which is insane because that's all anyone ever fucking talks about. And you think that restaurants would just at least nail that to capitalize. But I'm trying to have a picnic and my daughter's just like chasing bikes. Like this park is just all bicyclists and dogs, and she loves both. So she just bike, dog. It's like the 2 words that she knows. Bike, dog. So that was tough to get a handle on her during that whole thing. And it's whew, You want to socialize, you want to get out there and figure out how people operate, take a almost 2-year-old to the park. You know, I mean, there was at one point, it's like there's a group of guys approaching with a tiny white dog, and it's just me and the daughter. And I'm thinking my kid is going to go up to that dog and want to pet it. And I don't know if it's a group of guys, and I don't know that a group of guys want to stop for a dad with a daughter. You know, if it's a hot lady, a hot female of the female persuasion, yeah, they'll stop, chit chat it up, try and get a number, hit you up at the club. But a bunch of dudes with a tiny dog and then a dad with a daughter, it's like, do they really want to stop? And I figured they didn't. And so I didn't try. I was just like, and eventually he said, you know, I'm trying to like kind of hurry her up away from the dog, like, okay, you can touch the dog a little bit, but let's like keep it moving, you know? And the guy's like, is it okay that the dog, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, it's okay. And you know, it's very awkward. Didn't need to be awkward at all. Just say, hey, my daughter loves dogs. Can my daughter pet your dog? 2 simple sentences, but I just wasn't in that mindset. And then you had like we had a couple with 2 big dogs, and they wanted no part of us, like 0 eye contact, actually went out of their way to go around us on the path. You know, my daughter almost got fucking T-boned, sideswiped 1,000 times by bikes. She tried to steal someone's soccer ball. There was another kid that was just like in the field with an aluminum bat, throwing up a baseball and trying to hit it in like a field that has people not looking and paying attention. Like he's just by himself, soft tossing to himself and hitting it out into a field where there are people. It's like, what kind of terrorist nincompoop are you? But I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I guess, you know, gotta stay sharp. So it was a good day at the park. It was just like you see a lot of different people, and you see how a lot of different people operate. And it's very, very intriguing. I am the human rain delay. Those who know me as the human rain delay. I take forever to do things. I'm slow as fuck. It'll probably be on the divorce papers, top 3 reasons, like slow as fuck, incompetent, blah, blah, blah. Inadequate. Human rain delay. Everyone knows that. So it's why I don't run errands. My wife runs the errands. Bing, bam, boom. She gets them. She buys stuff she doesn't even need. She's just like, I'll buy it now, return it later. She's really into returns. I'm not like that. I'm like, this purchase is so crucial and vital. I cannot get it wrong. And so I spend an extra hour just fucking wringing my hands over the stupid purchase. You could just return it, dude. I just hate returning to the scene of the crime, you know? Because then I feel like I owe it an explanation, and it's just like I got to come up with a lie if it's whatever. So Friday night, sister-in-law's over, and we ordered takeout. So Franklin Steakhouse Tavern. I like their food. They don't have great ratings on Yelp. It's like 3 out of 5 stars or something like that. And this might be why. My mission was to go out, get the takeout, pick up the takeout order, get a gallon of milk for the little one, pick up some booze for us to cope with the little one. And it took me 4 fucking ever. I left, and it took me 2 hours, I think. And it's not like I was going cross state lines. I wasn't crossing the border, you know. It was all within maybe a 2-mile radius. The restaurant is right down the street. So I remember I left the complex, and I'm like almost there, and I realized I don't have a mask. What if I have to go in? What if this, and this? I don't want to be mask shamed. So I had to pull a Yui, come back, grab the mask, go back to Franklin Steakhouse. There's no kind of signs indicating what the hell you should do there when you get to the restaurant. So I see a car parked out front where the door entrance is. So I just fucking swing around and park right behind that person. Dude comes out, Hispanic dude. Now, I know you're thinking racist, and it's like, yeah, I am racist, but it comes into play. I think it comes into play because this dude obviously can't be a waiter. Like a waiter would have nailed this right off the bat. He comes, I lower the window, and he goes, name. He didn't say first name. He didn't say last name. And in my head, I'm thinking, you probably don't want to give the guy your first name because on the order, on the ticket, it probably has your last name. And how many people have this last name? So I say Lynch, last name. He goes, okay, got it. Runs back in, runs back out, empty-handed. Did you place the order online? Did you call? He goes, did you call it in? I go, no, I placed it online. He goes, Grubhub seamless? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I don't think so. I did it through Yelp. And he goes, oh, okay. Runs back inside. A minute later, comes back out empty-handed. Kate, did you order for yourself? I said, I'm not Kate. And I did order for myself. He's like, oh, first name? And I said, Neal. He's like, okay. Runs back in. A minute later, comes running back out. Just name one item that you ordered. And I was like, just one item. Because he's like, name an item you ordered. And I said, Philly cheese steak egg rolls and short rib quesadillas. He goes, I only need one item. Runs back in. Minute later, runs back out. Calamari? No, motherfucker. And this is why I gave you more than one item, because there's probably someone else who has a similar name that ordered what I just said in something in the fucking calamari. We didn't order a calamari. Of course, I didn't say that to him. He runs back in the restaurant. A minute later, comes running back out. Fuck, what did he say? Oh my God. Some other ridiculous question. Another ridiculous question. This guy ran inside and ran back out 5-6 times. Every time asking me a stupider question, a dumb question that would not help him at all to get my order. And eventually, a lady came out, probably one of the co-owners, managers, whatever, wearing a mask, and was like, Neal? I was like, yeah. She's like, Grubhub? I'm like, yeah, I guess. And she just throws the bag in my window and goes, your first name was on the ticket. Your first name. You gave the last name. It's just the initial of your last name. And I look at it and it says Neal L. And I was like, I really want to be a shitty dickhead to you right now and just say I gave that motherfucker my first name, but it's probably not going to help. Oh, the Hispanic thing. So when I said I ordered Yelp, he goes, Jelp? And I said, yeah, Jelp. Just like how it's not ha 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 ha, it's ja 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 ja. So that took unnecessarily long. God damn. And they still fucked up the order. It's like pointless to put anything in special instructions. No one's, especially during this coronavirus that's going on and Black Lives Matter, no one's looking at special instructions. We're skating by the skin of our teeth. We're hanging by thread here. No one's reading special instructions. So I think it was either that night or the next night. It might have been the next night. We watched a Walk to Remember. That's what, when you're outnumbered 3-1, chicks to dudes, that's what's going to happen. So I guess it's a Nicholas Sparks movie starring Mandy Moore and some guy that looked like Timothy Oliphant. And it was, and the whole time I was like, I will watch this movie, but I'm allowed to get drunk and I'm allowed to make comments the entire time. They were like, fine, yes, whatever. That's how much they love this movie. And so every 5 minutes I was like, so is this the Walk to Remember? And like anytime they were walking, anytime they put one foot in front of the other, I was like, so is this the Walk to Remember? So spoiler alert. I mean, I guess this movie came out, 2002? I don't even know when, but Mandy Moore was just, I mean, she still is just an absolute volcano. Liquid hot magma. But yeah, it's so funny. It reminded me of like not another teen movie. Like it's Mandy Moore, dude. She is like even without makeup and dying of leukemia, she is still 10 times hotter than every other girl that I'm looking at right now. So, and I love that the guy gets upset too. I mean, I guess I would get upset, but it's like still like, hey, we're gonna make the best of it. I'm not gonna be like, I can't believe you didn't tell me. Oh, I can't believe I wasted all this time on a dying girl. It's like, I don't know. I was kind of expecting a bigger twist though, because we went to get ice cream. We like paused and went to get ice cream, and the whole time I'm like, okay. So it turns out that this big thing that she doesn't want to tell him is she's like actually an angel sent down from heaven, and she was only given a certain amount of time to be on heaven to change his life before she had to go back. And like, I don't know. At one point I posited, all right there, fucking nerd. At one point I suggested that the dude, because at the beginning of the movie, it's a bunch of high school kids and it's like so 2002, like, you know, the hit like alt rock emo whatever track is playing as they're like at the quarry, and I don't know, everyone's wearing the hookah bead necklaces, and you know, it's just so 2002. It's like, okay, the movie starts where the male lead, this Timothy Oliphant dude, is on this huge like diving platform at a quarry or a pool or something like that. That's very shallow. So it's not a pool, but yet there's a diving board. I was very confused by that. And so it's him and this other guy, Clay. And like they want to initiate him into their cool kid club. So they make this kid Clay go up on this huge diving platform that's not for a pool. And this other Timothy Oliphant dude is like, I'll jump with you on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And then this Clay dude jumps and Timothy Oliphant doesn't, and this Clay guy like lands like hard on the water's surface, and you're like, oh, that's not good. And so then they rush down. They're like, oh my God, is he dead? And so they rush down, and he pulls him out, and then they like run from the cops. There's an actual police chase, and then they crash, and he ends up like fucking up his foot. But this other guy, Clay, is like paralyzed from the waist down, maybe the neck down. I don't know. And so the whole time I'm thinking, okay, so what's going to happen is somehow they're going to end up back at that quarry. Timothy Oliphant is going to be like, Clay is going to try and get his revenge on this Timothy Oliphant kid. And he's going to force him to jump off this diving platform into the shallow water to like, so that he gets his revenge. And then the two of them, my wife and her sister, were just like laughing their tits off. Nope. Although, wouldn't that have been a good movie? And so it then ends up that he gets paralyzed, right? And then he has to learn how to walk again. And he's coached by Mandy Moore. And then he tries and tries and tries. And there's that montage where he's trying so hard, but he can't. And then eventually he's able to walk. And that's a walk to remember. I mean, come on, that's a good guess. But whatever. It was not that. It was, they get married. Which is crazy because I just saw a story about 2 18-year-olds getting married because of something similar. I was like, they pulled the walk to remember move. We also watched Dangerous Minds, which I actually never saw when it first came out, but my wife did, of course. Of course, I remember Dangerous Minds because I remember the music video from MTV, because there were scenes from the movie, I thought, in the music video for Coolio's Gangster's Paradise. Been standing most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. And so there's a scene where Michelle Pfeiffer in the music video, like, is wearing her leather jacket and looks all like trying to look tough. And she spins around the chair with the back, the wooden chair without the arms, spins around, then sits like so that she's leaning on the back of the chair to be like, hey, I'm tough. And so I remember, like, my sister-in-law has not seen it. So I was like, oh my God, there's this cheesy scene where she spins the chair around and then leans on the back of the chair to make it look like she's cool. Nope, not in the movie. My sister-in-law was waiting the entire time for that one scene, and it just never happened because it wasn't in the movie. It was in the music video, you idiot. Anyway, I actually liked the movie, and I know it got critically panned. The critics hated it because they thought it was pandering, I guess, and it was stereotypical and all this. I don't know. I liked it. I can see how it could be stereotypical, and obviously I think it plays to the white savior complex that I'm now way more familiar with than I was at the age of 14, 15. So I can see what I was panned, but I also was expecting, judging off that critics rating, I was expecting a lot worse. So I was actually a little pleasantly surprised. And audiences actually liked it, according to Rotten Tomatoes. I think 60 some odd % of audiences gave it a favorable review. Probably all white. But I don't know. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. But they did play Coolio's Gangster's Paradise 3 times. And I'm not going to argue with that. That you get brownie points for that. They opened with Gangster's Paradise. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I already love this movie. And they played it 2 more times. I think they played it at the very end, and they might have played it in the middle. It's like Coolio you can't complain. I thought Michelle Pfeiffer gave a really good performance. I mean, sure, it was I think she played into the stereotypes, but she was also just trying to relate to them. What was given to her for the lesson plan was not going to work. So she tried to alter it to appeal to them and to relate to them. So I'm not going to knock her for that, but it's just maybe there's a better way to go about it. Maybe not make that leap, if you're going to try and how it should have gone down, maybe try and get there baby step wise and figure out, as opposed to just taking a guess, taking a stab. No pun intended. Ugh. So yeah, that's pretty much life. I've been reliving Giants seasons. That's what's been going on YouTube, the Giants YouTube channel. Whew. Just reliving the good old days. They've put up the season yearbooks for 81, 84, which we talked about before, 85, 86, 89, 90, 93, 2000, 2002, 2004, 05, 06, 07, and 2011. They just put up, I think, today or yesterday. I was a little disappointed in the 86 one, maybe even the 91. I was just like, wait, what is going on? These are the 2 seasons that we won the Super Bowl, and they're not like the other ones. The other ones have Frank Gifford speaking. I mean, and the 91 was still good. I think it was the dude who does it used to be on HBO, and then they moved to the Showtime. This is the NFL, or whatever that show was. That used to be Len Dawson hosted it. Now I think it's Phil Boomer, maybe Brandon Marshall, someone else, which I don't get Showtime. But I used to love watching those as a kid. This is the NFL, or This Week in the NFL, I think maybe. What was it called? Because they used to show highlights from each week's game in super NFL film slow motion style. So not the square box, rickety ass, taped broadcast that they do on the local sports news. It was super football porn, and it was Merrill Reese. Is that his name? Whoever the dulcet tones of Merrill Reese, or whoever the narrator was, they had that guy for the 90 season, which I'm not, it's not it didn't ruin it, but it wasn't Frank Gifford. Because I was so used to Frank Gifford. He did 81, 84, 85, even did 86. But even the 86 one, I think I was expecting Giants Among Men, which, if you're a Giants fan and you're maybe too young, older fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Giants Among Men is one of the best season recaps, season yearbooks of all time. So I don't know, maybe they edited Giants Among Men to be shorter, but it just didn't. It's funny how when they make the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl, they dedicate they dedicate like a quarter of the recap to the regular season. It's like, well, the regular season, I still want to know a lot. Like, I still want to relive the regular season. We got a lot of wins the regular season. It feels like they just kind of like skipped over that. But I'm actually putting together a couple of blog posts for that. One is most surprising Giants seasons, and the next one is the most disappointing Giants seasons. So, take your guesses now. I think I have about 10 for each, which is a little excessive, but come on, what else are you gonna do? I also watched Saquon's high school highlights. Dear God, dude. He had the same moves in high school as he has now. You'd think like in high school, it was just like, okay, I'm just going to run a sweep outside and just outrun everyone. He has the same exact moves that he has now. It's insane. And I understand it's like, okay, you're looking at maybe 5-6 years difference, but still. I mean, he had the move, if you remember the Detroit game, where he literally throws the man to the ground, a grown man to the ground. He did that in high school. Same exact move. The move against Miami, where he stopped on a dime, the guy went flying past. He didn't do the Chicago Bears move where he fucking Air Jordans over the dude. He didn't do that one. But I mean, he was also a beast on defense. I saw some comments and I almost left a comment like, we need to put him on defense. I would not be shocked if Joe Judge, coming from the Patriots, where someone like, what was it, Troy Brown? Was it Troy Brown? The wide receiver also played D-back occasionally, like nickelback when they were banged up. I would not be surprised if we see some injuries on the Giants defense and he's like, Saquon, let's do this. Who gives a shit? Let's do this. He did it in the Pro Bowl and he looked like amped to be doing it. So I don't know. I mean, he is just as much probability of getting hurt on offense as he does on defense. You're telling me 5 plays on defense a game, 5 big plays on defense a game, you're not going to put him in as like a roving safety / linebacker on the blitz or covering? I mean, I don't know. It's so much athleticism. And of course, there's all those, what was it? Some kind of rumor. Was it Dan Duggan or Ralph Vacchiano put out from SNY, put out it was basically just a mailbag article. But on Twitter, obviously with everyone scrolling on social media, you got to catch someone's attention. And so the title for the post was, should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? Not his question. It was a question from some yokel, crazy Giants fan who probably hated Odell too, in his mailbag of questions that he gets. But people obviously tear into Vacchiano because he posted it and thinking he's the one asking the question when really it was some Giants fan asking. I mean, the answer is no, right? The way that Vacchiano put it, seems like we pretty much should have, unless Saquon sours on the franchise, on the organization, we could technically have him until 2023, which I didn't think about. There was something about, he says okay, so his contract expires 2021, his rookie contract. We can then extend him to a 5th-year option for 2022, and then we can put the franchise tag on him for 2023. Now, of course, he could pull an Ezekiel Elliott or who's the other dude right now? There's a couple, isn't there? Ngakoue, maybe? Or even Leonard Williams, but they could Saquon could hold out and not do it, but I don't get that vibe from him. He's looking to make a crazy amount of bank in football. I think a lot of his revenue income is going to come outside football. And that is largely based on popularity, likability. And I think he has to understand that if he sticks with the Giants and leads them back to the promised land, he'll be a fucking legend that will be rolling in dough for years and years and years, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to hold out and then I'll sign a big contract and then I won't play up to this, expectations. And I don't know, meanwhile, Brandon Brooks, the guard for the Eagles, I think broke his foot or tore his Achilles or something like that, out for the year. It's a big injury. And then the Cowboys have coronavirus. I think, all the Cowboys have coronavirus. So I don't know. This could be your year. All right, let's talk movies really quick before I get into any of the reviews. Bill and Ted Face the Music, the official trailer, the first trailer came out, and I gotta say, I liked it. It was, for the most part, kind of quick, if I remember correctly. It didn't give away too much. I think it teased the right amount. I think the Grim Reaper makes an appearance. The phone booth's back in. So basically, from what I understood, the plot is they travel to the future when they actually have the hit song that changes the world, to steal the song to bring back to the present so they can play it and change the world. Which is such a ridiculous plot, but I love it. And it looks like they get into some interesting situations. So it's supposed to come out in August, and I guess they moved the release date up a little bit, but I'm not really keen on August. August is kind of makes me a little weary, because it's how many really good movies came out in August? You know what I mean? But I'm very excited for that. Very excited. Who knows? I honestly don't care if it doesn't live up to the first two. I'm just glad it's back. It's hard to hate on that franchise. There's no way they're going to biff it. All right. First movie I'll talk about is Just Mercy. I teased this last episode. It came out at a very interesting time. So I think and I don't know if it, and I mentioned this last time, it limited release in December so that it could be considered for Oscar contention at the 2020 Oscars, which happened. Did the 2020 Oscars happen? When did the Oscars happen? Yeah, the 2020 Oscars happened, right? Yes, they did. Right? Yeah. Holy shit. My whole concept of time and calendars is completely gone. Just out the window. But I think they released, it had a wider release right around Martin Luther King Day weekend, which makes sense. January 10th. But I think that, I hope it's still eligible for the 2021 Oscars. Probably not. I don't know. It should be. I know it's Oscar bait. I remember seeing the trailer, and I said this last week, or 2 weeks ago. I saw the trailer and was like, this is such fucking Oscar bait. Holy shit. And you could see that in a lot of the reviews. And if you're not familiar, it's about world-renowned civil rights defense attorney Brian Stevenson, played by Michael B. Jordan, who his mission is to free wrongly condemned death row prisoners, most of which are minorities, black men. It was directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, which didn't get that right. But he directed Short Term 12, which I remember we rented last year or the year before. That starred Brie Larson. It was yikes. Indie film. Had some good moments, some funny moments mixed in with some heavy moments. I liked it. Yeah, question mark. It was also written by Destin Daniel Cretton, and Andrew Lanham, who co-wrote The Shack. Now, if you're not familiar with The Shack, oh boy, let me tell you. You ever see a trailer for a movie and there's some like recognizable faces, famous faces, brand names, A-listers involved, and you think to yourself, what the fuck happened there? Like, how did this get to this stage? That happened with The Shack. At least that's what I didn't ever actually watch the movie, so it's not fair for me to judge or criticize, but damn, that trailer stunk out loud. So, The Shack. The synopsis is that a grieving man receives a mysterious personal invitation to meet with God at a place called The Shack. Now, they didn't really reference any of that in the trailer. It was just like Sam, I am, the dude from like Avatar, who had a moment. Sam Worthington, he was in Terminator Genesis. You just see him and maybe he has like a mullet or something. And then you see like, I want to say Octavia Spencer, and she's kind of like, and it just was ambiguous as hell. And that's what it was about. Get to meet with God. Oh boy. Anyway, this Just Mercy was based on the book by Bryan Stevenson. It stars Jamie Foxx as Walter McMillan, who goes by like Joe, Little Joe, or Jimmy and something like that in the movie. Michael B. Jordan, obviously, is Bryan Stevenson. Brie Larson, again, as Eva Ansley, who plays like a mother and wife who ends up being like Bryan Stevenson's assistant, Michael B. Jordan's assistant. The critics' consensus. So, and it starred that dude. Is it here? I don't know. The bad guy from Jurassic World, who I'm not like big on, but he actually did pretty well in this one. The critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes: Just Mercy dramatizes a real-life injustice with solid performances, a steady directorial hand, and enough urgency to overcome a certain degree of earnest advocacy. 83% of critics gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 7 out of 10. And the audience, 99% of the audience gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 4.82 out of 5. And I would say that even though I can hear what the critics are saying, but I would side more with the audience. Yeah, this is a movie that's hard to hate and hard to not like, unless you are full-blown Confederate flag waving, honky-tonk redneck cracker. Okay. I pulled in 36 million domestically and only 14.4 internationally for a worldwide take of 50.4. It was in the top 10 for 3 weeks around MLK Day weekend. And it's free to rent, or it was free to rent. I guess, yeah, for the entire month of June, it's free to rent from Warner Brothers in response to the George Floyd protests and police brutality outrage. You know, so I mean, it's free. I don't know how you can go wrong with that. Just rent it. Pretty understandable that internationally it didn't do well. I mean, this kind of falls along the lines of what you're seeing with the movies that I've been reviewing. Richard Jewell, Bombshell. These are American stories that are fairly American, I guess, in nature. You know, American identities that are not internationally known with American issues. And even though Bombshell to a lesser degree, I guess Richard Jewell more so, but yeah, I mean, it's fairly American in what's going on, which it stinks because it's like, it's still a human interest story. It's still about humanity. There were a couple quotes from critics that I thought that stood out to me. One is, we never gain much of a sense for who Stevenson is or what motivates him beyond the pursuit of legal justice. And the director makes no attempt to deviate from a familiar prestige drama template. I disagree with that, because you do see the scene like where they're on the porch and it's him and his mama. And, you know, he's a Harvard graduate. Trying to fix this camera that just refuses to obey. Where they're on the porch and they're back home in Delaware, and she's like, don't do this. It's dangerous. You're going into friggin' the heart of like either Georgia. I think it was Georgia. It might've been Mississippi, where it's like, you were just loath for the color of your skin. Don't do it. Why not go to a safe, cushy, comfortable firm where like you can, you know, whatever. So, and he recalls, I guess towards the beginning of the movie, when he went and talked to a kid that was his age, that was on death row or imprisoned, that he was going to work on his case pro bono, or that he was supposed to go there on behalf of some firm to gather information maybe. And they just exchanged stories, like related very easily. And Bryan Stevenson came to the conclusion like, this very easily could have been me sitting in jail in this jumpsuit. So that to me was the impetus for Stevenson. He's like, it's happening to people that look just like me, had the same upbringing as me, and probably just got unlucky. Wrong place, wrong time. Which is what happened with this McMillan character. You know, he had a target on his back because he cheated on his wife with a white woman. And so they're probably looking for a fall guy, and he's the fall guy when this white teenage girl ends up dead. They need to pin it on someone, so might as well pin it on this guy. Here's another quote from a top critic. The majority of films about African-American suffering have always been calibrated the way Just Mercy is, with an eye to not offending white viewers with anything remotely resembling black anger. I also disagree with that. Yeah, you know, I can see that this critic obviously wanted more like outrage and black anger, but I mean, it was there. It just wasn't in your, I don't know. It was seething, and maybe it wasn't external. It wasn't like boisterous in how it was delivered, but it was there, man. You could tell when they all gathered, when Bryan Stevenson visits like the family, McMillan family, and the whole neighborhood's there, and they're all together, and you could see they need change, and they're angry about everything that's going on. And he feels that. And you know, he's trying to like stoke their hope, not trying to get their hopes up, but I don't know. I disagree with that. There was black anger. I mean, maybe not from Stevenson, but that's just the kind of, it seemed like that was the character that he is. He's just like this kind of level-headed dude. You got a taste of it from McMillan. You got a taste of it from some of the other characters. I mean, like, you know, the one former naval officer, Army officer, he was in the military and was discharged and had post-traumatic stress disorder, and like ended up planting a bomb somewhere where it killed a little girl. And you know, his ordeal was, I don't know. It was a very gripping story about a guy that, you know, his mind's not right. The black anger thing. I mean, I don't know that it always needs to be anger. It was distress. It's conflict. You know, the one kid has the testimony or the eyewitness account that can free McMillan, but he doesn't want to go to the police because then he'll get rung up for something else, or they'll bring him up for something else. And it's like, that's eventually what ends up happening. There's a code amongst the community Like snitches get stitches. You don't want to rat out your fellow guy, but at the same time, it's also like you also don't want to be a fall guy. And here's another quote. There's too little anger and dirt and fear in this story. I disagree. But I'm a white dude, so from Stevenson, maybe I could see it. You know, I think they could have possibly delved into him more, for sure. I mean, we had the impetus. They gave a little glimpse into his backstory when he was talking with the one prisoner. So, yeah, I get it. But as far as McMillan, though, I thought they gave him enough of a backstory, fleshed him out. You got to see the hurdles that Stevenson jumped through. I think Stevenson understood how much black anger would have undone the progress, possibly, because there is a white fear of black anger. So, yes, it makes sense that you don't want to offend white viewers, but at the same time, I think Stevenson didn't want to disrupt the apple cart with black anger. Like, obviously, he wants to stand for what's right and be strong, but when he goes to this white authority, which he's outnumbered by and surrounded by, he does have to play their game to a certain extent. So I think he had a scheme and a plan in place, and he knew that black anger was only going to set him back and set his efforts back. That's what I think. I think he was a little bit smart about it. He knew that how they're perceived, how that black anger is perceived, it's not the same as white anger, and it's not going to be received the same way. It's going to be received with fear, guns drawn, handcuffs. That's just how it is. Sucks, but I liked it. My wife was crying nonstop. But it wasn't like heavy sobbing. It was just like a steady stream of tears, a steady flow. I surprisingly didn't cry. I actually cried during like Creed with Michael B. Jordan. I think I didn't cry here. I teared up a little bit, but it was, man, if you're black and in the South, man, get the fuck out of there. Just get out of there. I don't know. It just seems like such a bad place to be where so much can go wrong. But I guess it's pretty much anywhere now. I don't know. So that's Just Mercy. A big old thumbs up from me. Definitely worth it. I can't. The one guy was in there for jaywalking. Oh, what's his name? Ice Cube's son, who put on some weight for this one. Was it Ice Cube's son? Yeah. He was in there, and I guess he was in there for jaywalking or something. Or he was jaywalking, and so they rung him up on something else. Oh my God. These guys just were like in jail for no reason for so long. And then I don't even think they got really compensated for it. McMillan I think they said McMillan ended up dying like a couple of years after he got released. It's fucking bullshit. Ugh. Anyway, The Invisible Man. So remember way back when I saw that The Invisible Man, this was like right, I guess, when coronavirus started and they were pulling movies from theaters. And then all these distributors decided we're going to make our movies that were meant for the theaters available to stream at home, but we're going to charge you an arm and a goddamn leg and a testicle and naming rights to your firstborn. Do you remember that? And I was like, hell nah, never going to pay it. never will, never have. I'm a man of integrity. Shout out Smitty from Barstool. Well, the sister-in-law came over and we were like, okay, we got to buy it. So we forked over the $20. And the worst is when you fork over the $20 and then Amazon Prime is like, hey, it's free to members. And you're like, you dick. But yeah, Invisible Man, 2 hours, 4 minutes, rated R, horror mystery sci-fi, came out, was released initially in the late February. The last day of February, to be exact. Synopsis is: when Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody can see. It is written and directed by Lee Wannell. Let's see if I can pull this dude up. See what he's all about. Because I've never heard of his ass. All right. Looking. Oh, this dude was an actor in Saw. No shit. What? No way. Interesting. No, this is not the same dude. It is. Oh, he directed. So this dude directed Insidious Chapter 3, which I never saw because I don't know. It's like you see one, you've seen them all. And then Upgrade, which I fucking loved. Big fan of Upgrade. Probably didn't get, I want to say didn't get really a wide release, but I liked it a lot. And then Invisible Man. And apparently there's an Upgrade TV series. Get the hell out of here. Probably have to tune into that. And then there's a remake of Escape from New York. Guys, what are we doing? Anyway, this is a guy that he also wrote Upgrade. Fantastic. Oh, he wrote Saw. And Saw 2. And Saw 3. And he wrote Insidious Chapter 2. Damn. Dude knows his horror. Let's just say that. Interesting. Okay. Cecilia is played by Elisabeth Moss. I kind of forget who all these other people are. Damn. Anyway, the critics' consensus: smart, well acted, and above all scary, The Invisible Man proves that sometimes the classic source material for a fresh reboot can be hiding in plain sight. 91% of critics gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 7.69 out of 10. And then 88% of the audience gave it a favorable review with 4.3, average rating of 4.3 out of 5. Had a budget of $7 million, but pulled in almost 123 million worldwide before theaters shuttered down. It opened at number 1 and was at number 4 2 weekends later before everything went to goddamn shit. Film was originally going to be part of the Dark Universe with Johnny Depp starring as the titular character and Ed Solomon writing the screenplay, but changes were made to the Dark Universe to focus on individual storytelling and moving on from the shared universe concept after the box office failure of The Mummy, which was an attempt to reboot the Dark Universe after the box office disappointment of Dracula Untold. Jesus Christ, guys, get your shit together. I don't even remember Dracula Untold. I didn't even know that was part of the Dark Universe. God damn, man. But I do like this new direction they're taking. I mean, shit, $7 million budget. How can you not profit on that from a business standpoint? And it was just as good as like a big budget. I never saw The Mummy, but it's obviously better than that. And obviously better than Dracula Untold. So I really think that's the way to go. The first name of the main character, Cecilia, is derived from the Latin cacus, Cecas, which means blind. Aha. I like that. I'm really big into names and meanings, guys. My name means champion, mariner, or clouds. I don't know. It's a lot of different meanings. But the appeal here is it focuses on, I guess, believe all women, right? Domestic abuse. Touches on domestic abuse. It touches on the fact that we don't believe all women. When there's a serious charge like this against a man, most cops. There was that one scene where it's she's talking to the female cop, and the female cop is like, "Listen, this is going nowhere. And as a woman, this fucking sucks. But I know as a cop, this is going nowhere. So as a woman, you might want to do this." So I thought that was interesting. I like how they pull that off. There were a couple Easter eggs y'all should know about. When Cece is in bed asleep and Adrian is taking photos of her, upon waking, she looks up and sees a hat and trench coat on a stand. This is a throwback to the original design of the Invisible Man's costume disguise from the original series. Holy shit. That can't be right. The original series ran from 1933 to 1951. I mean, I guess when there are 3 channels or 2 channels, it's like, well, the ratings could be dog crap. Another Easter egg, when Cece is in the hospital and sees a patient and is staring at her, being brought out on a stretcher, his whole head is bandaged up apart from his eyes. This aesthetic, of course, is like the bandaged head of the original design of the Invisible Man's costume design. So they paid homage, paid little tributes here and there. But I like how I never saw Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon, but I would assume I don't think it did well. Did it do well? When did that come out? 2001? 2000? 2002? But I assume it had some kind of like hokey, non-science-y, believable reason why he was invisible. Whereas this one, very believable. With the advances in technology that we have now, it was like, yeah, I could totally see that happening. And then I'll end on this one. The film solves the biggest problem with previous versions of the story due to how the biology of the human eye works. If all the cells in a person were see-through, the person would be unable to see. Changing the invisibility to a suit, similar to the alien from Predator, works around this common issue, which they did. And I had my hunch. Yes, indeed. I had my hunch. So spoiler alert, if you were like wondering how they got, was it her just playing her mind playing tricks on her, or was it an actual dude in a suit? I literally just gave away the ending. So sorry. But there is another twist to the ending that you should know. And I had a hunch and I was right. So I think they're going to have a sequel. Maybe. I'd still like the shared universe concept. I don't think they need to get rid of that. Although I don't know how you pull it off here, but I still think you can use the same type of formula that you did for Invisible Man for the other monsters or creatures of the universe, and then somehow pull it all together in an Avengers style movie. But I don't think they should give up on the shared universe thing. I think they're still, get your top minds on this shit. The Gentleman. This is another one where I don't know what it is about trailers these days, but I am always wrong about trailers and how I will like the movie. The Gentleman trailer, I watched it and I was like, this is going to be a dog shit movie that I've seen a million times before from Guy Ritchie. Just Mercy, I was like, this is Oscar bait bullshit. Like, it's going to be so melodramatic. Like, I'm not going to like it. I like Just Mercy. I like The Gentleman. I mean, yeah, it's basically like, it's like not prototype, but just like typical Guy Ritchie. If you're not familiar, dude dated and possibly married Madonna. Did they marry? I don't know. But he directed Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, and Sherlock Holmes with, I almost said Robert Downey Jr. and what's his name? Jude Law. What a great name. Jude Law. He also wrote the screenplay for King Arthur, Legend of the Sword with Charlie Hunnam, who's also in this movie. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is underrated. Check it out. It's got Armie Hammer. I think I've said this before. Armie Hammer and I almost said Brandon Routh, dude. Fucking Henry Cavill. Good Lord. Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and Aladdin, apparently. Just nuts. Matthew McConaughey stars as the kind of the lead dude, Michael Pearson, who is not like typical McConaughey in this. He doesn't really go the full McConaughey route. He's kind of reserved, doesn't get like wacky. Charlie Hunnam is all looking dapper as fuck. Michelle Dockery, who is what is the name of that show? I can't remember it, but it was some kind of like crazy ass sex scene in a TV show that she's in that I had to upload to YouTube. And I was like, this is definitely not getting monetized. She plays McConaughey's wife, does a dynamite job. I don't know that they're in, Colin Farrell as Coach, who does a awesome job. It's Colin Farrell's career has been super interesting to me. He was kind of like positioned as like the next big like action star, like he's going to take over for Tom Cruise and Bruce Willis, and he kind of has settled into a nice little secondary character role that I really like. Of course, like everyone points to In Bruges. I think that's how you say it. As like, which I think I don't know if I've seen. I don't know. Come on, my memory's fading. But he was awesome in this. I would have liked to know a little more backstory about his character, because I feel like they touched on it a little bit, and they showed you enough so you don't have to be like completely, miffed about not seeing more of him. But yeah, very interesting character. Hugh Grant as Fletcher. Hugh Grant, dude. My God. He's pretty good in this one. The critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes: it may not win writer-director Guy Ritchie many new converts, but for those already attuned to the filmmaker's brash wavelength, the gentleman stands tall. I mean, yeah, I'm familiar with his work, and I was like, this is right. I was almost put off that it was too Guy Ritchie. That was going to be like, oh, this is he's basically just copying and pasting. But no, I still enjoy how he paints his characters and fleshes them out. Of course, there are some times where it's like it's a bit of a stretch, bit of a reach. And you're like, I don't know that you really needed to go down that route. And sometimes you feel like, all this for what, dude? Like, what is the payoff? Is this gonna, and it doesn't pay off, and you're like, wow, we spent like 5 minutes on that and it did not come to fruition at all. So if I had one criticism that anyone gives a shit about, 75% of critics gave it a favorable review with 6.46 out of 10 average rating. 84% of the audience gave it a favorable review with a 4.15 out of 5 average rating. I would have to, split the difference probably. Maybe closer on the audience side. It pulled in almost 115 million worldwide, with most of it coming internationally. And that's probably due to its heavy European influences. It was in the top 6 the first 3 weeks, and then it never cracked the top 3. And it was out of theaters when Corona hit. Kate Beckinsale was originally cast in the Michelle Dockery role as McConaughey's wife, but dropped out 2 weeks after shooting began. And there's no explanation. Oh, I guess there is an explanation. Keep reading, you idiot. Michelle Dockery replaced her. An insider said Beckinsale explained that other stuff in her life, including an ill family member, meant she could not commit. Luckily, Guy had already had Michelle waiting in the wings to take over, so it helped ease the transition. It's a real shame, as it was a great gig for Kate, but Guy is sure it will still be a box office hit now that Michelle's on board. This smells fishy. It smells like there's something else going on there. He just happened to have Michelle waiting in the wings. Okay. Ill family member. Okay. Sting acted in Guy Ritchie's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which I do not remember. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I can't believe that Sting was in it, and I don't remember. But his daughter acted as Laura Pressfield in this movie, and I think Laura Pressfield was the strung out, addicted to heroin daughter of the rich couple that they had to rescue. Around the 1 hour, 50-minute mark, Hugh Grant's character is seen trying to sell the script for a movie, Bush. No, 1 minute and 50 seconds. I don't know what time frame it is, but it was based on the story he has been relating to Charlie Hunnam's character to a movie producer at Miramax. Given that the working title for The Gentleman was also Bush and was made through Miramax, it suggests the movie you were watching is indeed the end result of this meeting. Whoa, meta. When Michael returns to his pub, a Gritchy brewery van can be seen outside. Gritchy Brewing Company is owned by director Guy Ritchie. Earlier in the movie, the beer brand can be seen on the tap inside the beer bar's wall. Oh, wow. Earlier in the movie, the beer brand Gritchy can be seen on the tap inside the bar as well. Holy shit, enunciate, you stupid wop Mick. Wow. That was a slur for the ages. But I'm Irish and Italian, so I can say it. Yeah, I think that's like, dude, I mean, I don't know why more directors don't do this. Maybe they're too artistic and creative and don't see the business potential. But like, dude, start a business on the side and slide that shit into every movie you make. It's not that hard. Like Quentin Tarantino. Why is he not selling Apple cigarettes or whatever it's called? He has so many like fake products in his movies. Just start selling that. He'd be a goddamn bajillionaire. So kudos to Guy Ritchie for figuring it out. Just start a side hustle that like little to no people talk about or know about, and just put that shit subtly in all your movies. Genius. The pint glasses in the film bear the name Lore of the Land, a pub owned by director Guy Ritchie with David Beckham in central London. I mean, yeah, dude, he gets it. Product placement, it's where it's at. He has now promoted his pub and his brewery very organically and naturally in this movie that was probably seen by millions and are probably like, I want to go there now. I must go there. That's a real thing. I must go. So that's a gentleman. Yeah, my wife and I actually paused the movie to have a lengthy chat and discussion about pickled eggs. My wife, I think, gets bored very easily, and when she goes to the grocery store, she'll always come back with something that just caught her eye. And that one time at the grocery store, she saw like pickled eggs that were like buffalo pickled eggs. And I think she didn't even have one of them but I think she bought it home, thought that was going to be awesome. And next day, opened the fridge and was like, I can't believe I bought that. She didn't even try. I don't even think she tried it. I don't even think she taste tested it. And was like, that was a bad purchase. And I ended up eating because I hate wasting food. CPC for life. Clean Plate Club. I cannot waste food. I don't care how bad it tastes, how bad it looks. I will suck it up and try to I'll get creative with it. I'll throw it in a blender and throw some other condiments in there to mask the taste or the odor. I can't waste food. So the buffalo eggs, she just thought something. She bought it and thought it was going to be something different. I don't know how. It's a clear jar. It's eggs, pickled eggs. I mean, in vinegar with a buffalo tinge to it. I don't know. Buffalo eggs. I mean, it was a little spicy. Not going to lie. It wasn't tear inducing. But, yeah, that was an interesting purchase. Interesting choice. Bad Boys for Life. This is the third movie, right? I feel like I'm missing a movie in there, but I definitely saw Bad Boys 1 and I definitely saw Bad Boys 2. I binged them all in one day, probably around, Martin Luther King weekend. Which now, looking back on everything, how weird is that we're now in a place about police reform because there's police brutality, racist cops using excessive force against unarmed black men, and this movie is about black cops. Oh my God. So this is the third movie. I got lost. This movie, you get lost in it a little bit because there's a lot of leaps and jumps. It's I don't remember this part of the story at all. There was a couple times where I was just like, well, fuck, was there a third movie that I'm not? Is this the fourth movie? I'm pretty sure this is the third movie. Anyway, Martin Lawrence first announced this film in 2013 in an interview with Conan O'Brien. Synopsis: Miami detectives Mike Lowry. By the way, Jesus Christ, 2013, dude. Kudos to everyone involved to stick around for 6 years for this thing to get made. Kudos. That's commitment right there, and I applaud that. I mean, I'm in year 4 of writing the screenplay, so I don't know. I guess I get it. Miami detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett must face off against a mother and son pair of drug lords who wreak vengeful havoc on their city. By the way, that mother and son pair of drug lords fucking stink. For the most part, they stunk. And it started off so well, too, with the opening, how they introduced the mother. That scene in the jail was fucking making the guard's nose bleed out of nowhere. And then everyone swarms and there's some stabbing, there's blood, and she's covered in blood. And then they find the chick in the washing machine, and then she pulls up and blah, blah. I was just like, what an intro. And then every scene after that fucking stunk. She basically repeated herself every single time to her son. And the son said the same thing every time he talked to the mom. It was just we could probably do without that. What a waste. I mean, it all comes full circle at the end. But I don't know. I feel like it was played out. They strung it out a little bit too much. Maybe they should have hinted a little bit more in those conversations. Those conversations just felt so generic and stale, typical bad guy talking to another typical bad guy. So the movie was directed by Adil and Bilal. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falah. So white. And their agents, check this shit out. Talk about coming up clutch. Their agents had made it very clear to them that if the movie wasn't successful, it would most likely be the end of their Hollywood career. Oh boy. Pressure. Ding, 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 ding. Yikes. But at the same time, it's like, that is motivation right there. Got to make this good. Can't just half-ass it. And because of the success of this movie, they will be directing Beverly Hills Cop 4, which I'm oddly interested in. This is the first Bad Boys film not to be directed by Michael Bay. Although they do there are some very notable shots that are reminiscent of Michael Bay's cinematography. We still have Michael Bay in the movie. He plays a wedding MC. If you've never, just Google Michael Bay Playboy Mansion. I think that's the one where he's just shredded. The dude works out or has a great diet. But he's like a dude's director. A man's director. Screenplay was written by Chris Bremer, who is working on National Treasure 3. You know, dude, I have not seen National Treasure 2. And I vaguely remember National Treasure 1, which I didn't see in the theater. I probably saw hungover on a Sunday, bloody Sunday. It was also written by Peter Craig, who is working on Gladiator 2, which I thought that was a joke. I thought Gladiator 2 was a joke, but it's real. Apparently it's happening. He also he helped write Top Gun Maverick, which, when is that coming out? 12 Strong with Chris Hemsworth, which I liked. Yeah. Good movie. Very, I guess not very similar, but similar to Extraction, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Bloodfather, which I was full transparency. We're being honest here. We're all on the trust tree, the circle. I was very high for that movie. Sorry, Mom. But yeah, we were at home, so I wasn't out. I didn't have to drive anywhere. We were at home, we rented it, and I was very high, and I didn't get it. I mean, I kind of got it, but yeah, maybe I need to rewatch that. Not high. He also wrote The Hunger Games, or helped write The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 and Part 1. Not in that order. And The Town. So that is a good resume. Peter Craig, y'all. Joe Carnahan also helped write the screenplay. He worked on The A-Team and Smoking Aces. So interesting how that works. I'd imagine that Peter Craig helped out a lot. And George Gallo, based on the characters created by. Of course, you got Will Smith as Mike, Martin Lawrence as Marcus, Vanessa Hudgens, who I had a big old crush on for a while, especially when Sucker Punch came out. She plays Kelly. They had all these like youngins, millennial types, I guess, as this elite squad that Will Smith's love interest was like started and headed up. Vanessa Hudgens was one of those four. They could have cast it better, for being honest. Vanessa Hudgens was the only name I recognized, and maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm just too old to get it, but I thought they could have got like four recognizable young faces that are supposed to be like the next wave of action stars, and instead they got Vanessa Hudgens and three people I didn't really know. Sorry, even like the payoff with I guess Dorn, where it's like he's this big white jacked guy, and Will Smith, and he did all tech stuff, and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are just like, dude, what are you doing behind a computer? We need you out in the field. You look like you can kick ass. And he's like, no, I can't. And then even like the reveal there where he explains why he's behind the computer and he can't be out in the field. It felt a little flat. It's just like, maybe do a flashback and show the damage he did. Maybe. I do enjoy the chemistry between Rita, Will Smith's love interest, and Will Smith. Did that ever actually come together? I can't even remember if we got, like, I guess they did maybe kiss at the end. I don't know. But like, when did that happen? Was that in Bad Boys 2? Where they're talking about how they had the relationship and then it's like, I don't know. I don't think I'm a big fan of that, especially in a franchise when it's like, hey, we're going to keep referencing all the things that happened that we never showed our audience. What the hell, dude? Like, I don't know. Like, you want me to be invested in this relationship? I haven't seen anything about it. You just told me about it. So it doesn't slap, as the kids would say. Like if it was a relationship from the second movie that's carried over to the third, okay, we've seen what happened, how it developed in the second movie, but now there's this gap between the second movie and the third movie, and you're just telling me about like, oh, we could have been something. It's just like, well, I don't know. You didn't show me how you connected or what's there. Still a big fan of that couple though, the duo. DJ Khaled was in this movie too. He was so DJ Khaled about it too. So DJ Khaled. I think he ended up getting his hand chopped off or something. Or his hand cut or something, which is like, you know, because it was just funny. I was hoping that when he got cut or like whatever, that he would just scream DJ Khaled. Anyway, the critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes: loaded up with action and a double helping of leading man charisma, Bad Boys for Life reinvigorates this long dormant franchise by playing squarely to its strengths. Agreed. I mean, you can't go wrong with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. That's a fact. If it was just the one of them in this movie, okay, yeah, then I can see how it can go awry. But like when you got the both of them checking each other, so good. 77% of critics gave it a favorable review with a 6.22 out of 10 average rating. 96% of the audience gave it a favorable review with a 4.67 out of 5 average rating. Damn. I'm not going to go that high, obviously, but it's better than a 77. I'd say. I'd throw it in the middle there. What is that? Yeah, I'd say it's mid 80s, probably high 80s. I don't know. I'm not that. I'm like easy to please. First day at McDonald's, let's do it. Had a budget of $90 million, which is interesting. That seems low. Domestically hauled in $204 million, and internationally topped it, $214 million, for a worldwide gross of $419. And it was still in theaters when Corona hit. It debuted at number 1 for 3 weeks in a row. It stayed there, and it never fell out of the top 10. It was at number 10 when the Rona premiered. In Bad Boys 2, when Marcus and Mike first met 15-year-old Reggie, they suspect him of looking like he's 30. And when Reggie appears in this film, he is now in his early 30s. Which that was a great scene. I'm so glad they carried that over to this movie. That was like, you know, it just made a lot of sense. This is the first in the series where a character who appeared in the previous film, spoiler alert, Croaks. Joe Pantoliano is Captain Howard. Spoiler alert, sorry. You should have seen that coming. I mean, dude, you should have seen it coming. I mean, I telegraphed it. Yeah, turn off the blinker. And And this is the second time Will Smith acted as a clueless father facing his own lethal descendant after Gemini Man. Also a spoiler alert. Sorry. Should have given you a heads up there. So I guess that was an interesting twist that they threw in at the end, that he was like, I fell in love with this chick while I was undercover, banged her, had a son. But I don't know. It feels like it's almost like they're trying to set up this son to be a part of the fourth one, which I don't understand how you even make a fourth one after this. This felt like this was the final one. The way that Martin Lawrence was talking in the movie, it was just like, I need to retire. I gotta retire one last time. I don't understand, unless they're trying to set up a Bad Boys 4 without Martin Lawrence, and you just keep Will Smith and then his son, who killed a lot of friggin' people, dude. Like, I know it's your son, but he killed a lot of people. So I don't know what the direction they're going in there. It just seems like you nailed it with this one. Just end it here. Unless they go like the Fast and Furious route, where it's like they bring in The Rock. That's always a possibility. Suck Birds of Prey. And the fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Rated R, hour and 49 minutes. Action, adventure, crime. Came out February 7th. Synopsis is, after splitting with the Joker, Harley Quinn joins superheroes Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya to save a young girl from an evil crime lord. It was directed by Kathy Yan, who's the first Asian woman to direct a superhero movie. Pretty cool. And it was written by Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee and is writing The Flash and Batgirl. I have not seen Bumblebee yet, but it's got pretty good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, which is saying something, because I tried to do the whole like Transformers binge, because I'd seen Transformers 1 in the theaters, and I was like, and then I just kind of gave up after that. But like the ratings on some of these Transformer movies are atrocious across the board. But Bumblebee isn't, so I'm very curious to see what that's all about. And Paul Dini just actually died, didn't he? So the Harley Quinn character was created by a guy named Paul Dini, Dini and Bruce Timm, and Paul Dini just died. I'm now getting convinced that if I watch a movie and there's a person in it, that person will that will die soon thereafter. I think I curse people. I think I'm cursed. I am a black cloud. I'm a black cat. Black cats matter. Margot Robbie obviously is Harley Quinn. Rosie Perez is Renee Montoya, which was awesome casting. So glad that they got her. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. Again, nailed it. Awesome casting. There's even talks about possibly giving her a spinoff movie, which I'm all for. Journey Smollett as Dina Lance, aka Black Canary. Meh. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but meh. Ewan McGregor as Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Cain, the young girl who has been kidnapped or is being hunted. And then Ali Wong as Ellen Yi, which I didn't get at the time, but apparently is Renee Montoya's ex-lover. The critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes, with a fresh perspective, some new friends, and loads of fast-paced action. Birds of Prey captures the colorfully, if I didn't have a lot of vodka in me right now, I'd know how to pronounce this better. Anarchic. It's the adjective form of anarchy. Spirit of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I'm buzzed. I don't care. It's after midnight. 78% of critics gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 6.74 out of 10. audiences gave it a 78% of audiences gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 4.01 out of 5. Had a budget of $84.5 million. And it basically broke even domestically. And then it made $117.7 million internationally for a worldwide gross of around $202 million. It opened at number 1 Valentine's Day week and stayed in the top 10 until the last week theaters were open. And it was the first theatrically released film in the DC Extended Universe to be rated R. Which I totally agree with. I don't know why you would. I mean, Harley Quinn is such a crazy character, and I can't see, restricting her to PG-13. Although they make her out to be a real wild card, but I guess it makes sense, That makes total sense. If you've been dating like fucking the Joker for so long and you can just get away with anything you want, you're going to be doing what you're doing at the beginning of this movie. So yeah, Neal, come on, get on board. The Penguin was originally intended to be the main antagonist of the movie, but was scrapped due to his appearance in the Batman portrayed by Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell, dude, as the Penguin? What? Is Colin Farrell the next Christian Bale? No, because they're the same age. What am I talking about? But at the same time, a fat Colin Farrell. Do you think he'll actually get fat, or do you think he'll be like, oh, I'm the slim Penguin? Jesus, come on, Colin. I'm still excited about that. I still think about Colin Farrell's Bullseye from Elektra and that stupid goddamn song that I heard nonstop coming from my roommate's room when I was a graduate. Wake Me Up Inside. Anyone? I heard that song nonstop coming from the other room. And it's like, I am awake. I'm awake on the outside as well. I'm awakened inside, and you've woken me up outside as well. Before Ewan McGregor was cast as Black Mask, Nicolas Cage, Sharlto Copley, who the name probably doesn't ring a bell, but he played, he was in the A-Team, but he was also in District 9. And he was in one other movie, but he's a fucking amazing actor. I love him. And Sam Rockwell were considered to play Black Mask. I do like Sam Rockwell in certain things. I don't think he would have worked as Black Mask in this. Nicolas Cage would have been an interesting choice. Sharlto Copley would have been, he just knocks everything out of the park. So I think he would have been awesome. That said, Ewan McGregor did a good job. Rockwell passed on the role, but was considered the archetype for the casting. Okay. Yeah, I can see a little bit of Rockwell and McGregor's performance. The interpretation of Roman Sionis is an interesting take on his ties to Bruce Wayne. In some comics, Bruce and Roman were friends as children, which leads to Sionis becoming the criminal version of Batman with varying degrees of skill. In this adaptation, while Sionis sets out to present an intimidating persona to Gotham's criminals in his Black Mask guise, in practice, he is a pretty petty, spoiled playboy who represents what Bruce Wayne could be if he really was the rich idiot he pretends to be, while having absolutely no thought for the consequences beyond what benefits him. Now that makes his character that much better. I did not pick up on that initially, but now that I know that, it definitely enriches the performance and that character. Roman's quote-unquote fuck family rant is the closest his character feels to his earliest comics appearances, where he resented his parents and actually created his mask from the wood of his father's coffin. Holy macaroni, dude. Daddy issues? Whoa. Imagine, like, I don't know how much I would have to hate my dad in order to, like, take apart his coffin to make a mask. That's a lot of hate. I don't know if I have it in me, but I'm a lazy person, so who am I? The egg sandwich that is made for Harley Quinn is not made with chicken eggs, but with duck eggs, as Margot Robbie is allergic to chicken egg whites. She gets migraines from them. I know that shouldn't be funny, but that is really funny. I don't know why that's funny. I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's just like, what? That is the most random factoid I think I've ever found in my life. I've never heard of that in my life. Migraines from chicken egg whites, not even eggs, egg whites. Which, as a actor or actress, like, you're probably just housing egg whites all the time to stay so slim and fit and trim. Duck eggs, though. My wife likes duck. Where do you even get duck eggs? I feel like duck eggs should be everywhere. Why are chicken eggs everywhere and I can't find any fucking duck eggs when I go to the goddamn market? Aren't there more ducks than chickens? Stupid question. Quinn won't be seen as an object of desire, which is very much on purpose. Quote, that's what happens when you have a female producer, director, writer, said the costume designer. Margot Robbie added, quote, yes, it's definitely less male gazy. Robbie had discussed how uncomfortable her outfits were for Suicide Squad, so that she has that has been all altered for this film. It's noticeably different, but not to the extent that I didn't think, like, watching, and this is, male gazy, I guess, but I didn't think watching Suicide Squad that it's like, that looks uncomfortable. I never thought that, but I guess as a woman, you probably would have thought, like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is she wearing? That must be, like, so far up her crack. But even in that sense, it is interesting. You don't really pick up on it until someone points it out. Like, I know when, Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, you see, like, the Amazonians in that picture, and then Justice League, directed by a man, you see, like, the costumes in that, and you're like, side by side, yeah, noticeable difference. But, like, as you're watching it, I don't think it really pops, at least not for me. Sorry. The hyena that belongs to Margot Robbie is called Bruce, which is a reference to Bruce Wayne. Harley Quinn obviously has quite a thing for Bruce Wayne, even wearing the name Bruce on a dog tag. I mean, my God. We need to have Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn and whoever, Robert Pattinson's Batman, like, have a thing going on. Similar a la Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Michael Keaton's Batman, because that was electric. Factory. It's got to happen, right? I mean, we saw a little bit of Bruce Wayne, at least in the Batmobile, chasing Margot Robbie and the Joker, I think, in Suicide Squad. But I mean, like, you can't have all this talk. You're blue balling us. It's been rumored that Birds of Prey will be the second movie of a Harley Quinn trilogy. First movie was obviously Suicide Squad, and the third movie is going to be Gotham City Sirens. I would imagine that would still be greenlit, despite, I mean, 200 million is nothing to laugh at, or nothing to joke at, or nothing to spit at, or nothing to frown at. Wow, I completely forgot that saying. But yeah, I'm very interested in Gotham City Sirens. But it all needs to culminate with her having some kind of thing, and maybe that's what it is. The third movie is going to be we finally get to see more of her fascination with Bruce, and maybe that going down. Please, God, for the love of God, make it happen. Renee Montoya is the first canonically, it's so stupid, gay character in either a Marvel or DC movie. Canonically. Okay. So there were a couple women that were in the running for the role of Huntress. I don't know that I know Kristen Milotti or Sophia Boutella, but Margaret Qualley sounds familiar. And they were all rumored to be in the running. for Huntress. And previously, Alexandra Daddario had been rumored as well. I can't take that seriously because the only time I've seen Alexandra Daddario was when she took off her top and showed her. I mean, let's be real here. Men, women, dogs, cats, aliens included know that she has like phenomenal breasts. But the only time outside of True Detective, that scene, like the only time I saw her was like in the poster where it's her and like Kate Upton battling over one dude. Was that Kate Upton? That's the only other time I've really seen her. So I was like, oh, they probably made the right choice. I don't know. No offense. Janelle Monáe was rumored to be in the running for Black Canary. I would have liked to see that. Vanessa Kirby, Jodie Comer, who sounds familiar, and Blake Lively were rumored for Black Canary as well. I cannot see Blake Lively as Black Canary. I mean, don't get me wrong, Journey Smollett had some amazing outfits in this movie, but something just didn't click. I don't know. So I really hope Gotham City Sirens is still on because I'm in on that. I was going to talk about Extraction, but I don't know that I really need to. I mean, if we're being honest, I don't know. It's an okay movie. It's a good movie. It's like, I mean, it's he definitely uses the same kind of shooting technique as John Wick. And there's something about it that looks so goddamn cool. So I won't go into Extraction. I will say Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis were attached as leads to the project at one point, which is crazy because that's exactly what I said about Chris Hemsworth last episode when talking about Extraction. That it feels like he has the potential to be the next big action star to compete with The Rock, because right now The Rock just fucking owns it. And maybe Ryan Reynolds is in the mix, maybe. So I had 3 more movies to talk about, but I'm cooked. I'm done. I'm sorry. So be on the lookout. Maybe next episode, I'll talk about The Lovebirds with Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani. Rise of Skywalker, which I might just scrap that all together. We've all heard enough about Rise of Skywalker, right? Do you really need my opinion on that shit? You don't. And then The King of Staten Island, which we watched on Saturday, right? Saturday, yeah. So that will come later. So that's that. I'm going to wrap it up at a neat, tight, short 2.5 hours. Thank you for joining me. This has been Giant Mess. I love you. I don't know if I say that enough. We need to say that more to each other. I love you. You don't have to say it back. But I'll catch you next episode. I don't know when that'll be. It's already Juneteenth. I'm currently violating respect. I'm disrespecting the Juneteenth. So I got to sign off before people catch on. Adios, muchachos.